and good afternoon to dear teachers and all my fellow presenters. Um, so the topic that I'm going to be talking about is something that is of a very grave concern. So before I start off with the topic, recently in 2020, the United Nations released a journal. Um, it was actually a report that was talking about the Sustainable Development Goals in 2030, and they said that the SDG goals in 2030 will not be achievable. And the reason for that is because of the human exploitation of natural resources and also the degradation of oceanic resources. Which brings me to my topic on India's blue economy, which is not in the pink of health. So to explain what the blue economy is not a very familiar concept in the world, and especially in India. So I'll just briefly explain what the blue economy is about. The blue economy is basically a sustainable use of ocean resources to increase economic growth, to improve the livelihoods of the people and also their jobs, while also preserving the health of the ocean ecosystems. Um, so India is one such country which has water on all three sides of its land. So it's very important that we start making very strict and legal regulations to use ocean resources in a sustainable manner. And India is also a country that has a very young population. So, in my humble opinion, I think India should utilize the youth and they should empower the youth in protecting the ocean resources and improving the blue economy. Now, the objectives for my presentation, for my paper, was basically to establish a need for government initiatives for promoting youth empowerment and education in India. My second objective was to determine any kind of legal change that can encourage entrepreneurship in India for the blue economy. And the third was to evaluate any kind of possible collaborations between nation states and the public and private sectors. Now, the methodology that I used for my paper was basically a desktop research study, which was basically using existing resources like papers, journals, UN journals, and other acclaimed journals, and it's purely theoretical in nature. So, moving on to the opportunities of the blue economy in India, the first thing is I'd like to talk about the Indian Ocean. So the Indian Ocean is it's a vital sea link that connects the eastern part of the world to the western part of the world, and 80% of the oil trade occurs through the sea route. And the Indian Ocean, basically is of very it's of a great importance to us because it bears the name of our country. And not many people are aware of this, but countries like Japan, Australia, and even the US of A, they have been exploiting resources in the Indian Ocean, and they have been using up our resources, and that is like major threat to us because that destroys our position in the ocean. Um, the second point I'd like to make is about the fact that India should start making security grids with other countries, mostly, preferably Asian countries, to prevent any kind of militarization from other foreign countries from the West. The third thing is, to maintain the quality of seafood in India, I think fishing vessels or fishing ships are very important. The benefits of using fishing vessels is that they are very flexible on land as well as on water, and they're also very mobile, and that leads to a proper maintenance of the fishes. Um, Now, what India can do is they can encourage private companies to buy vessels, or they can encourage them to create new vessels and encourage that would, in turn encourage our fisher folk to catch the fish, thereby creating a lot more of labor participation in the blue sector as well as prohibiting illegal activities, like I mentioned before. Yeah, the illegal activities that mostly happens, in all these sectors is that the foreign vessels will come into the Indian waters and they will catch the fish, thereby leaving Indians with no fish and therefore no business. So that's literally what happens, and that's still what's been happening. Another thing I'd like to discuss is about, promoting the foreign direct investments in the blue sector, because that can really ease out on the financial constraints. But bearing the fact in mind that the blue economy is a very unfamiliar concept, the government needs to take necessary regulations and create more awareness, so that can create more awareness among the investors to make a lot of foreign direct investments. Now, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges of the blue economy that India is currently facing. To start off with the youth, I think the youth in India is severely underutilized, because statistics show that almost 60% of girl students drop out of class 8 itself. And believe it or not, 60% of the students in India cannot even read. And this can be actually used as an opportunity for India to educate the youth on the blue economy and create more employment opportunities for them. The second challenge is something related to the policy regulations. Now, there is a lack of harmonization between the institutions in our country itself. For example, the Wildlife Protection Act, they have said, and I quote, that they will lead to protection of wild, endangered plants, animals, etc. And here the term wild means aquatic species. So, which basically implies that we should not really catch any kind of fish and just leave the fish as it is. Now, 1.5 minutes.
Have
Yeah,
one.
thanks. Now, when you go to the Department of Fisheries, they have said that we should provide fish produce without exploiting coastal areas. Now, this is kind of contradictory between both the departments, and these kind of issues need to be addressed so that we as citizens know what law should be enforced. Another point is with respect to evaluating collaborations between nation states and public-private sectors, as that was one of my objectives. The blue economy is still a very unfamiliar zone, and there's lack of appropriate deal structures and capital across the risk-return spectrums. What the government can do is to implement strategic action programs. So SAPs are basically making your strategies become a reality. And SAPs are also very useful because they are government regulated, and they also have uh, they have a proper legal framework. So that will lead to less investment risks, and that will also increase a lot of transparency and accountability in the blue economy. Okay, so I'd like to go to my conclusions now due to paucity of time. Basically, the blue economy in India is still a very unrealized potential, but it needs a lot of government regulations and policy changes. Today, because of the misuse of the ocean resources, there's lots of displacement of families, there are lots of marginalized fisherfolk who get affected by climate change and who lose out on their homes because of cyclones and rains that comes at really odd timings. And most famous example actually is the Chennai cyclones and the rains that keeps affecting us, and that causes devastating consequences for all of us. And it's a fact that the per capita income of 40% of the fishermen is below the poverty line. So the government really needs to do something, and they really have to ensure that they get their policies in check, and they frame the right policy, and they create a good legal framework. And the youth should really be invested in the youth in the blue economy. So I just like to conclude by saying that the blue economy is still not in the pink of its health, and the government really needs to do something about it. Thank you. Sir, do you have any questions?
Yes, Arpita ma'am, the management of the college, thank you for inviting me for this session. I'm very happy to see, I went through the abstract of all the 8 papers that are going to be presented today, and very happy to note that the young generation is trying to identify the problem statements very correctly. So being specific to your blue economy paper, I have a few suggestions. I would not say that I'm trying to retrospect what you're trying to present, but a few suggestions. Because any concept, any idea takes time to become a concept, and a concept takes time to become a reality. So first and foremost, you need to go into a little more detail on the marine infrastructure that we have. How does the fishery department operate? What are the policies? What are the key stakeholders? Who are the beneficiaries? Currently, how they're operating? All that needs to be analyzed, because your paper, when you say blue economy, I see a lot of factors. I see a shade of global, global warming into it. I see a hint of preservation into it. I see a hint of business, protecting the business interest of the people who are into the commercial aspect of the blue economy. So we need to see what is the target audience. Target audience predominantly is the people who are extracting business out of marine life, right from a fisherman to a commercial organization who's doing tinned food kind of a thing for blue economy. So let's go into a very fundamental aspect of this. When I say that I want to create a blue economy, my first objective should be, how do I keep my waters clean? Because when my waters are clean, my marine life will have the ability to grow, and that is how the business will come. And that is when I should now next move to a stage where I see, how do I protect the interest of my people within my waters. So the foreign vessels can always come and do fishing in Indian Ocean, but every geographical footprint has its own proprietary ownership on their respective waters. So that violation thing is already there. If you look at the UN resolutions for the water bodies owned by the countries, then there are specific agendas that are already defined. So we need to look at the fishery department, we need to look at the structure of the organization, we need to look at the benefit of the audience, because whether we talk about governance or we talk about e-governance, the bottom line is the business function that we create for the benefit of the target audience. What is the kind of masses that are being impacted and how their social life is being improved. So blue economy definitely can play a very, very important role into that. Good paper to present, but needs a little more retrospecting. Problem statement very, very perfectly identified. So absolutely no disputes to that. So these are my few suggestions that I had. You want to ask me any questions from a governance standpoint where I can further give my inputs? These are first impressions of your paper. And we all talk about empowering the youth. So youth has to come ahead and empower themselves. Now there are various ways of empowering ourselves. One is to qualify the statutory examinations and get into decisive positions. And if you're not able to do that, and if you look at the social structure of the marine life today, there are very few NGOs who are actually advocating and mandating preservation of marine life and improving the quality of the people who have their livings based on marine life. So there could be a thought that an NGO can be developed on the subject, which can drive the thing, and youth can definitely drive it, because you will have fresh mind, fresh idea, fresh look into what has happened in the past. Our generation probably abused the nature a little more than you. Otherwise, we would have left a better world for young people like you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jolin, M.Phil scholar from Madras Christian College. My topic is on e-Panchayat and its impact on rural development. Mahatma Gandhiji says, when the Panchayat Raj established, public opinion will do what the violence can never. Panchayat Raj system in India has its roots since ancient time. Rigveda mentions about Sabha and Samiti, and Uttarameru inscription of Tamil Nadu speaks about Chola period self-government. And in the colonial period, Lord Ripon passed a resolution on local self-government on 1882. This regarded as the Magna Carta of local self-government. After the independence, the constitution makers made Article 40, which states to organize village panchayat and endow with necessary powers and authority to enable them to function as their unit of self-government. After this, Government of India made several committees to establish self-government in the country. The first committee to be established in 1952 is under the chairmanship of Balwant Mehta to examine the working of community development program. This committee recommended for democratic decentralization. And the first Panchayat Raj system was established in Rajasthan in October 2, 1959. Another important committee in the series is Ashok Mehta Committee. It gave recommendation to revive and strengthen the Panchayat Raj system. And next committee is very important for the process of self-government in India. It is under GVK Rao in 1985. This committee concluded that the developmental process was bureaucratized and was against a decentralized setup. And after that, LM Shingle Committee, Tadbil Committee, Tungon Committee recommended for constitutionalization of Panchayat Raj system. After that, in 1993, the Parliament of India made Article 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which includes new Part 9 and new Schedule 11 and Articles 243 to 243 in the Constitution to enable Panchayat Raj system as a grassroots level democracy in the country. When we are looking at the objective of the Panchayat Raj, is to provide economic development to the rural area and to bring social justice to the society. And this paper is organized in 3 sections. First section provides the conceptualization of e-governance and Government of India initiative on implementing e-governance in the country. And second section focuses on the Digital India initiative and its subschemes and digital penetration in the rural area. And the third section provides conceptualization of e-Panchayat and its digitization initiative of Panchayat Raj institution in the country and its importance for the rural development. The concept of e-governance has been evolved during the period of ICT evaluation. The United Nations Organization explained e-government as a use of information and communication technology to effectively and efficiently deliver the services to the citizens. Another international organization, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, mentions about e-government as a use of new information and communication technology by government as to apply the full range of government services. The e-governance project integrates system of services which includes G2C, G2B and G2G. G2C refers to government to citizens and G2B refers to government to business and finally G2G is government to government. When we are speaking about history of evaluation of e-governance in India, it is dated back to 1970 when the Department of Electronics was established. After that, in 1977, National Informatics Center was established to computerize all district offices in the country. And another important step is establishment of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in 1991 with the vision to promote e-governance for empowering citizens. And the another important step is Information Technology Act of 2000. It was the first time to recognize electronic documents and e-commerce. Then we are moving to a new concept, broader concept called National E-Governance Plans of 2006. It has a vision to make all government services accessible to common man in his locality through common service delivery and ensure efficiency, transparency, and reliability of such services at affordable cost to realize the basic needs of the government. The National E-Governance Plan has a defined structure which is several governing structures head. The important highest committee is headed by Prime Minister of India and to give leadership input to the plan. And the technical advisory committee is headed by the Department of Electronics and Information Technology. And National E-Governance Plan includes 27 mission mode project and it later increased to 31 mission mode project. And e-Panchayat is one of such mission mode project. And when we are talking about National Optic Fiber Network, it is an ambitious project for broadband revolution. It is aimed to connect 250,000 gram panchayat in the country at the internet speed of 100 Mbps. And it is an aim to provide information superhighway through the creation of robust middleman infrastructure for reaching the broadband connectivity to the gram panchayat. And it is funded by Universal Service Obligation Fund. Priority of this fund is given to northeastern states and left-wing extremism states. National Optical Fiber Network has been updated to BharatNet program. It is implemented by Bharat Broadband Network Limited. This mission aims to address the network connectivity issues in rural areas. And we are moving to second section, that is Digital India. It is a flagship initiative of Government of India. It is launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015. It has 9 pillars. First pillar is broadband highway. It has 3 subcomponents: highway for rural, broadband highway for urban, and National Informatics Center. For rural areas, it connects rural population. For the urban areas, it establishes new connections, and National Information Network connects every possible ways to provide super speed network to the panchayat. Next is universal access to mobile connectivity. Another one is e-governance, and another one is e-Kranti. E-Kranti has a very important mission, which is transforming e-governance for the transforming governance. And we are moving to third important section, which is e-Panchayat. E-Panchayat have an aim of in transformation of Panchayat Raj institution into a modern, transparent institution of grassroots level democracy. This e-Panchayat concept was formulated by Dr. B.K. Kairola, Director General of National Informatics Center. This committee this committee gave a cost-effective solution to improve the Panchayat Raj system in India. It is a pan-India initiative by Ministry of Panchayat Raj to engage citizens in a decision-making process and program implementation. E-Panchayat is automates all functioning of 2.45 lakhs panchayat, like planning, accounting, monitoring, and implementation and social audit and delivery of citizens. And next we are moving to Gram Swaraj portal. Gram Swaraj portal is amalgamating all possible outputs of the e-Panchayat to a single portal. And for the year 2021, e-GOV Gram Swaraj portal has been finalized 2.43 lakh Panchayat Gram development program. And for the final thing, the importance of e-Panchayat for the rural democracy is Panchayat is a very important thing to provide development, because its aim itself is to provide rural development and social justice. So e-Panchayat will integrate information and communication technology to the rural people. By the way, it creates a more channel so that agriculture organization and people and voters of the Panchayat will have a more way to connect to the world, and will have more way to decision making process, and they can explain their views to the higher authority, higher district authority or a state authority. Concluding, Panchayat, we have digital divide is there in India still. 225 million people in the rural side is using internet, but we are having digital divide. State government and central government have a vision to bridge this gap. People by e-Panchayat and information technology will create them to will empower them to more decision making powers, and empower them to participate in the community level program, and it aids surely it will aid economic development at the grassroots level. Thank you.
Okay, that was too much of data in one go. Uh, so you started with Mahatma Gandhi's quote. I will repeat what Mahatma Gandhi said for a citizen, a person who receives the service. So Mahatma Gandhi said that as a business proposition, if anybody comes to our premises, he's probably the most important person, and it is our paramount duty to give him the best of services. I think what we have in terms of e-governance plan, e-governance division, all these mission mode projects are stem out of that thought. But you started very well. I thought we would talk more about the role of the Panchayati Raj in rural development. The reason I was looking forward to that data was that all our e-governance initiatives end up being driven by technology enablers more than business functions. So if you look at Gram Panchayats today, which are connected with 100 Mbps national optic fiber network, they're eventually working as a common service center, where they're giving basic internet service to the rural area. They're providing some of the partial service deliveries in terms of G2C services to the rural area. But I would have liked the Panchayati Raj to contribute a little more. So there is a program on farmers getting loan based on the nutrition value of the soil. It's called the soil health card. That awareness is something that Panchayati, Gram Panchayats could have contributed better. They would have contributed better to the modernization of land records pan India, because rural footprint still is not covered as far as the GIS tagging is concerned. Third, education has been driven very strongly by ICT over last few years. So the ICT enablers by the key service providers have still not reached the rural footprint in terms of giving basic educations, especially to the senior citizens. They could have played a very important role in creating awareness amongst the citizen. I'm looking at the e-Sevai platform that we have in Tamil Nadu for last 5 months, and all I see is urban footprint, talking about an income certificate or a legal hair certificate or a marriage certificate or a community certificate. It has not reached the people who actually need it. So we need to now start thinking about the last mile deliverables, take the service delivery to the doorstep of the citizen, and the Gram Panchayats can play a very, very important role. For that, somebody has to come forward. We have to have advisory councils, competency teams working around the clock, looking at the framework of the Panchayati Raj, because all our bureaucracy and the panchayats and even the village head for that matter is still the legacy of the British Raj framework that we imbibed from the Britishers or during the 200 years that they ruled us. So that needs to be retrospected, and it is high time the functioning of the Gram Panchayat changes, the role of a taluka head changes, the role of a tahsildar changes. They are more than just a attestation authority, and they go into a working mode. They have a team to themselves. It may not be an IT enabled team, but I think they can definitely they have enough knowledge base to have a business team driving the framework, enabled by the technology enablers. Because end of the day, we need to understand one thing very clearly: technology enablers are the last mile. If we have not sweat ourselves in terms of defining the correct business function, the masses we impact, the lives of the citizens that we need to change. And this e-governance concept is going to stay for eternity. We are a big country. If you look at the percentage coverage of e-governance, we are not even about 15% of what population we have. So there is a huge opportunity. But we are challenged with the business interest of the corporate, where people are trying to establish data centers, virtual data centers, hyperscale data centers, coming up with all kind of COTS product. They want revenue in 24 hours turnaround time. And my rural friends are the people who are left out of the inclusiveness. So we need to talk about inclusiveness a bit more. Your topic is definitely very good, but it is it cannot be summarized in 10 minutes. It's a topic that I myself can talk for at least 3 days in terms of how we should improve, what implementation should we do, what are the derivatives that should come out. But thought is perfectly fine. I think a good attempt. Only thing is, when you are presenting a paper, a small suggestion, don't make it look like slides comprising of policies, slides comprising of what is connecting who, and what is making people function. Don't talk about too much of that tier. Talk about the community that you need to impact. Talk about the restructuring that you have in mind, because fresh ideas can always drive. It has to be a top down approach. You can't make a law or a policy and then ask people to follow that. So these are my few suggestions, but the problem statement is definitely acknowledged. Good attempt.
Respected jury and everyone over here, good afternoon all. So we live in the sovereign, socialist, and a secular and a democratic country. So with the second largest youth population in the world, what better could be done
for uplifting the country's economy. This is one of the most interesting and the need of the hour. So I'm going to be presenting on the topic the role of youth in e-governance, with the theme the role of youth in e-governance. As soon as when I saw this theme, the one thing what came into my mind is this, we are into the era of artificial intelligence, science and technology. And when it comes to youngsters, especially soon after the COVID, using internet became more of, a very, very, in a regular basis, they start using internet and, online facilities and etc. So e-governance, it is supposed to be one of the most trend-setting platform amongst the youth. So I have then framed the topic as e-governance, a trendsetter in strengthening the civic participation of the youth of India. And as I took this study to give more clarity on it, I then went on to concentrate more upon the Chengalpattu district. So I have a reason behind for the geographical location of the study. Since the year 2018, there are lots of people started migrating to Chengalpattu. The reason behind this particular place is, have seen drastic development in the field of education, especially when it comes to opening colleges and schools, and especially the gated communities, where we even have the corporates, who started migrating to this place because of, scintillating improvisation in educational sector. So this is a synopsis of my, the topic. I'll be starting with the advent of e-governance in India, so how it was born, and then what are the essential factors which is required for running an e-governance successfully. So next, e-governance and Tamil Nadu, since I was concentrating more on the Chengalpattu district, and then how e-governance revolutionized the civic participation and the beautiful connect it gave to the youth of India. The scintillating AI for all, hashtag AI for all. So this is again is a very interesting initiation by the e-governance facility of Government of India. And then e-governance and its legal perception. Here again is an interesting connect. Why legal perception? Since we talk more about the youth of India, since I'm concentrating on the youth of India, it is always very important for us to know the rights and the rules and regulations to follow when we use the internet facilities. And being the citizens of India, it is also important for us to abide by the law and to understand about the constitution and to properly follow the rules and regulations. And next is my findings and interpretation. And then there is interesting, e-governance model, since we are still a progressive nation, and there is a drastic development in, our country, India, for the past decade. It is also important for us to grow more drastically. So for which I have also referred few interesting e-governance models so that it can uplift, through e-governance, we can have a good upliftment for our economy. And last is my suggestions and conclusion. Yes, in the year 1990, that's when, India stepped into, the entirely a new scenario of looking into the world. E-governance, with the facility of information communication technology, was born in India. So it started focusing more upon the people, business, and the government agency, and beautifully brought in the connect between the three. So it is generally to be, to give the people an awareness about the usage of the internet and other application services, especially to country like us. We still depend on agriculture, and 74% of the population still look into, very emerging facilities which has to come. But still, in the year 2015, India was announced digitalized. And now it is really fascinating to see, even from people back from the rural community, could able to access smartphone and at least aware of the facility which has been provided for them. The very picture here in this slide speaks about it. Next slide. So here is what essentials of e-governance. It talks more on the connectivity, database management, knowledge and or skill, and the capital investment. So when I was, when I wanted to talk about connectivity, it reminded me of two things: how we connect with the people and how we use the facility of internet through technology. So this is all about understanding the basic requirements of the citizen and to fulfill it. And next, the technological connect it makes it even more faster. So gone are the days people, like apply for a facility and will be waiting for years together. But now, because of technology, we could able to bridge the gap. Next is database management. To improvise anything, maintaining data is quite important. And like we still follow the very traditional method of maintaining data back at even in corporates and even in government offices. And it is also very interesting to see these days through e-management, we could able to beautifully maintain data. So if any facility is needed for the people, it could be very efficiently accessed and can be done in no time. Knowledge and skill, both your soft skills and the hard skills are very important. At least the basic knowledge of accessing the application, computers, to understand, what is required and how it can be done is very, very important to access this platform. And capital investment, here I have to definitely mention about the new economic policy. Soon after the liberalization, privatization, globalization, government joined hands with private organization, and definitely the capital investments became more for such platform. So my objective is to understand the role of a governance by improvising the society to influence, how e-governance has influenced in a very the political perspective of young India and effective facilities which is offered. So I've collected questionnaires from the students and through which I interpreted it, and I also collected some secondary data from government websites and also studied few papers which actually helped me to understand the research gap and further proceed. Next. Okay, so e-governance in Tamil Nadu in the year 2006, in the month of May, under Tamil Nadu Societies Act, here the e-governance was formed with the goal to provide integrated service to its citizen in a very, very affordable cost. So this is, this is going to be the homepage of the e-governance of Tamil Nadu. Here, interestingly, I could see most of the social media platform through which people could able to easily access, especially when it comes to the young India. They are so active through social media, and platforms like this can definitely enable them to very actively use this platform. Facial recognition system, which was introduced in the year 2018, I also came across this. Few schools here, government schools, especially in India, in Tamil Nadu, has started using facial recognition system through which the attendance of the children are marked. And further, it is actually time consuming, and it is also very fascinating to see the government's schools started using these facilities. And this one response is, political awareness. Like young India has actually become very much politically aware. When we talk about the civic participation, voting actually tops the list. So it refers to, educating the future citizens about the political awareness around us. Millennials and as well as the Gen Z are very much, very much aware and very much advanced towards the technology and very happy to use this platform. So this AI for all, and India owns this AI strategy, and it is just to make the future India AI ready so that they can meet any competitive challenges which is coming up. And these are these four effective services which actually was, very much adored by the young Indians. The straight-through process through which they started focusing more upon the paperless, communication and disaster recovery center. So we all know, like for the past few years, we've been so much prone to the natural disasters. So within 24/7, any compliance or any need which is raised through e-governance is actually being resolved. And active certified filling centers. This is for the MCA, which is your Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which actually does the filing and all the other procedures in a very nominal, rates. And also four showcase show office at four metros. The city like Mumbai, Kolkata, Delhi, and Chennai, they provide effective services to electronic filing with the free of charges. The next one. So these are the legal perception which I was talking about. The IT Act of 2000, from Section 4 to 10A of the Information Technology Act talks more about, how legally we can protect while we use these facilities. Next one. So these findings actually, empowered me to say that yes, e-governance is actually a trend-setting platform when the response is 67.6% says India's digital journey actually had started, and it actually uplifts different states of India. So this two, interpretation again, the most number of e-seva facilities which is used by the youth effectively, exam application, then followed by the passport, then the billings, LLR, tax filing, and the compliance, which also includes suggesting government for infrastructural facilities and also lots of developmental facilities by the students. Okay, so these are some few suggestions which is given by the respondents, where it says like, for the question, why do you think e-governance platform is a trendsetter? They say because it's very convenient and easy. It keeps busy youth, to be more upgraded, and it is revolutionizing the youth like never before, and it of course, improvises the society. So he is Professor Harry, who had suggested the 5 interesting models, which is actually suggested for progressing country like India. It's more important, though we are digitally developing, but it is also more important how are we going to sustain this. So for this 5 interesting models can actually help us to, keep up with the improvising technology. So the one suggestion which I'd like to put forward, after my study, right channels of communication needed to be established, especially to, to put forth social media platforms. Awareness through that can be definitely, facilities like e-governance can be taken forward for the young generations. So digital media is actually changing the way how political parties interact with the voters never before. So it is very important that we are going to have a proper channel to communicate with them and make India a better place for them to live. So thank you. I am Janani Priyadarshini. I work as an assistant professor from SRM Institute of Science and Technology. These were also my respondent, and they were very active in talking about their participation to empower young India. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That was very informative. I think you did a very quick analysis of how the e-governance looks like pan-India and specifically in Tamil Nadu. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
when you say e-governance, a trendsetter, I think with now spent about 26 years in IT industry, I would say e-governance is a late realization. It is now realizing how we can socially uplift the lives of the citizens, how critical is the citizen-centric services, how paramount is the data, which makes us deliver good quality services for the citizen. And probably now we are at a stage where we can consolidate our data and start doing predictive analysis, because there is a big community out there who doesn't even know what benefits they are entitled to. So I would say youth is definitely a big percentage of the whole exercise, but I'm more worried about people who are my age and beyond, the senior citizens, people who are deprived of actual services that need to be there. So we need to create awareness. You presented the e-Seva, which I own as a platform. And if you go on to e-Tal, which consolidates the transactions for the state projects and across the counters, you will see that Tamil Nadu is amongst the top 5, but only delivering about 71 services. So our e-Seva today, that e-district portal and e-Seva put together along with the citizen portal, has close to about 150 services, but the services utilized is only 71. So there is a big exercise we collectively need to do to create that awareness. Even in the previous presentation, I was saying that we need to reach out to the last mile. When we want to implement effective e-governance, our aim should be simplified applications, easy to use, easy to understand, minimal ask, and reach the grassroots level. I don't want to fancy a UX and a UI portal with all kind of technology enablers, which my poor lady sitting in the village does not understand. So it doesn't make any sense with me. So e-governance should start retrospecting the target audience more carefully. We should now look at the village India, which is a big percentage of our geographical footprint, and start thinking about how to make the benefit reach that part of the world. because our all e-governance initiatives, all business process re-engineering exercises, all service workflows are only confined to the metro audience, unfortunately, for the time being. So there is lot to be done. People should come forward, join hands, and probably I would not see it happening in my lifetime, the kind of volume of the work that is available to be done. So the volume of the work that is available to be done will take another about 50 years or so. Technology enablers will come and go, products will be presented, will die down, will reach steady state. The coverage is something that we lack, and we lack very strongly. That's my input, ma'am. You need you have any questions for me, because this is my subject, very close to the heart. I'll be very happy to answer those.
Sir, actually, it was very interesting to know about the few things what you said to me. I handle very young crowd, and they are very much, into knowing all of these interesting things. So they were also one of the biggest motivation for me to take this as my topic. Role of youth in e-governance. And so thank you so much. You had actually had educated on the definitely the other side of how this can be effectively utilized. Maybe in my future study, this was just my pilot study. And with this, I came to know a lot of fascinating things. And if I'm going to do, I'm planning to do an extensive research.
I'll give you a quick example if you understand technology. Okay. Now we talk about databases, we talk about data centric applications, we talk about a lot of things. Now people are talking about open source and artificial intelligence these days. If you look at artificial intelligence program works on an either or logic. So I have to program and create a knowledge base of the possible value outputs already defined in my system, which the program will execute and pick from. So it is not something great compared to a custom built platform where I can program. In 1995, I wrote a program in C, which I categorically remember was 1508 lines for Indian Railway Reservation System. And it is to schedule a train. How do you induct a new train and schedule it? People have not been able to change that 1508 lines of code today also. That code is working absolutely fine. So if you have to introduce a train, define the stations, define a timetable for this train, those 1500 lines on a C works much better than any other program that you can talk about. You have open sources, you have Javas, you have .NET, but the mother of all languages is C. So we need to retrospect our fundamentals. We need to define our target audience very clearly, and probably list out the benefits. It's very simple. As I said, simplified governance is the right word for our rural friends.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Thank you. Next presenter, and Dr. Ramlata A.S. The topic perception of youth on Digi and e-governance initiative with special reference to Chennai.
Yes, good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to one and all present here. Myself, Pravalika, I am research scholar, and my guide, Dr. A.S. Namlata, are present on the topic perception on DigiLocker by youth in Chennai. So before moving on to the presentation, I just wanted to define the term e-governance. So when the government proceed their procedures for implementing any initiative through with the help of ICT, then that is known as e-governance. So this is the logo of DigiLocker. On July 1st, 2015, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi's main motive was to bring India into an empowered country and also to make India a paperless governance. So these are the basic statistics available on the DigiLocker website. Currently, there are 98.57 million DigiLocker users, and there are 3 parties involved with this DigiLocker facility. First is the issuer of the document. So these are the institutions or organizations who issue the documents to the users, and the users are the one who download their application and start using it. This can be done with the help of Aadhaar card. So any individual and any NRI of India, NRI cannot participate in DigiLocker. So anyone who are the citizens of India can go to the Play Store and download this application, and they will get an OTP so that they can start using this DigiLocker. So one example of this DigiLocker is when we are caught by a traffic police and we are asked for the physical copy of our driving license, but if we do not have the physical copy, we can show that driving license through this DigiLocker. So that is accepted all over India. And in 2016, this DigiLocker was implemented, and we can see a rapid increase in number of users after the COVID, and there is also equal increase in number of documents which are provided by government through DigiLocker. So they can push the documents to the users' digital wallet directly. So there is no need to visit the institutions or wait for a long time for the documents. So here are the features of DigiLocker. So once the user gets himself registered with the DigiLocker, he is provided with a storage space of 1 GB in the cloud storage, and each document which he can upload in DigiLocker is up to the maximum limit of 10 MB. And since my paper is restricted to Tamil Nadu government is currently providing 26 documents, and Karnataka government has the maximum number of documents. They provide 73 documents via DigiLocker. So the left and right columns are some of are the 26 documents which are provided by Tamil Nadu government. And as I said, non-resident of India cannot use DigiLocker because they do not have Aadhaar. So awareness of DigiLocker, perception of e-governance and e-governance acceptance is studied for my reference, and these are the papers presented by different authors. So these are the 2 objectives of my study. The first objective was to examine the trust built by the citizens on the e-governance and e-facilities provided by the government. And the second objective is to check the willingness of youth population to check whether they are accepting the DigiLocker or not. So methodology followed for my research is I have circulated a structured questionnaire to the youth population, and according to National Youth Population 2013, India states that anyone ranging between 15 and 29 years come under the youth of the country. So my respondents were between this age group. Okay. So limitations is sample size was restricted to 100, and the target group was only the youth, and anyone above 30 years and below 15 years were not considered for my study. And the period of study was limited in the month of January. So moving on to the analysis part, the data collected was analyzed using MS Excel and SPSS software, and KMO test was performed to test the sample adequacy, and it was proved to be very high, 89.4%. Descriptive statistics, factor analysis, and independent test was performed to support my objectives. This is the table showing the demographic data of my respondents. So majority of my respondents were working in private sector, and they had post-graduation, and some of my respondents were above postgraduates, and majority were among females. So this is my first finding. Though my respondents are from youth population, they use their mobiles in day-to-day life, and they are aware of each and every each and everything happening in and around the world. They were not aware about the DigiLocker. This 42% of members, they answered that they are not aware of DigiLocker. And the factor analysis was performed to reduce my statements into two factors. So the two factors are efficiency in service delivery by the e-governance and technological competence by the e-governance. So to support my first objective, independent t-test was performed with the two variables from the factor analysis. So mean values were considered here, and it was proved to be significant. So null hypothesis is accepted and alternative is rejected. So the second objective was to check the willingness of the youth to accept the DigiLocker. So 49% of my respondents answered they may use the DigiLocker if the circumstance arises, and 13% were not ready to use this DigiLocker, and the reason they stated is that they are not they do not feel safe using DigiLockers. So the suggestion I would give to TNEGA is that before they move on to implementing any e-governance initiative, I request TNEGA to ensure that each and every citizen have proper awareness and proper knowledge to handle it through ICT. And the government should also ensure the internet accessibility throughout the country. I mean, throughout the country, here is both rural as well as urban areas. Currently, urban areas can get fast internet, and rural areas are still lagging in it. And the scope for future study is longitudinal, and the similar research can be made with the different sector, in different sector and with a different set of population. Thank you, sir. These are my references for the study.
Okay, so good. That was a good presentation. Few inputs. If you're trying to analyze a platform, if you're trying to, am I audible, ma'am? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So if you're trying to analyze a platform pertaining to e-governance or a tool pertaining to e-governance, we should first understand what the tool is. I will give you a little understanding when you go out of this presentation today. You'll be able to talk a little better on DigiLocker. So DigiLocker is just not a central repository residing on cloud, which gives a 1 GB storage for the citizen based on the Aadhaar authentication. It is, I think, much more than that. There is something called an issuer. Issuer is the department who has a G2C connect with the citizen in terms of services, approvals, renewals. And while onboarding an issuer on DigiLocker, we have to create a partner ID. We have to declare the services that will be onboarded. And there is a system actor called the requester. As the example that you gave for the police department in that case becomes a requester who goes on to DigiLocker to verify your license. And DigiLocker, from an issuer and requester standpoint, does not physically store the documents in DigiLocker. They give a XML reference of the CSV data. So the actual document is in the infrastructure of the issuer itself. Only citizen is allowed to put a physical document in DigiLocker. Now, DigiLocker is a very interesting concept. It has benefited a lot of people, as you analyzed. But now DigiLocker has to move into the next leg. We have to look at this central storage with more workflow integration with different applications, so that there is a whole big ecosystem in terms of e-documents that can be created. We have to look at business process re-engineering with various departments, which can make their services a little more simpler. And then probably look at the set of services that will be part of DigiLocker. So DigiLocker is now going through that phase 2. Currently, it only provides a certain set of templates. And from a business standpoint, now DigiLocker team, based on TNEGA's input and all the states that are going to give inputs to Delhi, they are now consolidating people. When I say consolidation is happening, then you have a single portal for all the educational institutes, where they can upload their certificates, upload their mark sheets. They become part of DigiLocker. You have a central portal for medical authorities where the MBBS colleges, the dental colleges, the competent authorities, the National Health Scheme, and all those statutory governance authorities are part of the portal, so that it becomes a single. So you need to create those category of users and then break it down into the list of beneficiaries that you want to reach out. At this point of time, it was only looking at citizen. Okay, citizen has a faster validation of his documents, storage, and you must tell people that data is 100% encrypted, can only be accessed by Aadhaar authentication. So there is no threat to the document of the citizen. Do you have a DigiLocker account? I'm asking you, do you have a DigiLocker account?
So after presenting this paper, I'm planning to do it, sir. I have installed it, but I haven't used it yet.
Come again?
So before presenting about this topic, even I was unaware about this DigiLocker. So I'm working on it. I'll surely use the topic.
Okay, create an account for yourself. Put your basic documents there, like your birth certificate, your 10th certificate, your 12th certificate, probably in the future your degree, your driving license, your PAN card, your Aadhaar card, and see the utility of DigiLocker. Good analysis. At your age, I wouldn't have done better than you. Since I now know more than you, I can always tell you a lot of things. But at your age and your experience, it's a good attempt. Good, well done.
Thank you for the supportive points.
I would like to start the presentation by a famous saying I remember by Seneca, a Roman philosopher. She says that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. We feel super lucky to have met with this opportunity to present our paper in front of you, sir. A very happy day and a warm afternoon to you. Myself, S. Priya, and my co-partner, Pranjal, are here to present the key features of our paper. The title of our paper, as seen on the screen, is E-Governance and Smart Cities. These are the two major topics explained throughout. The paper highlights the key features which involves the usage of ICT in governance. Now, who doesn't know the term ICT? Information and Communication Technology. It is one of the trendiest topics around the globe and of course is of keen importance. The paper also talks about the shift to smart cities with the notion of artificial intelligence AI and 5G, the fifth generation of network. As we can see on the second slide, this depicts the synopsis of our paper. The major goal of this paper is to analyze the position of India in the e-governance working and the challenges it might face ahead. Let us talk about a real-life example. We all are aware that the world was hit with a pandemic in 2020. And in such tough times, the communication between people and the government officials was furnished with the advancement of technology. The electronic where technology is used in the working of e-governance. The statistics presented clearly state that citizens strongly agree that e-governance and smart cities are the major factors which will affect the development of the country. I personally believe that e-governance and smart cities are the two major keys that will completely open up the lock on the door of development. As you can see on this chart, shift to smart cities. The smart city mission was initiated in the year 2015, and from then till now, there has been recorded that from between the years 2010 and 2020, the shift to smart city of citizens has risen from 13.93% to 34.93%. We can see that in 10 years, 4% of the population has found their ways to shift to the urban areas. The government believes that by the end of 2030, more than 40% of the population of the country. This major shift of citizens to cities will help in the building of the smart city mission.
As you can see on the showcase slide, India has initiated a lot of different schemes and missions to develop nation using the means of technology. As shown, few of the examples are Digital India, National Smart Cities Mission, DigiLocker, Digidhan Abhiyan, Pragati, and Cyber Swachhata Kendra. All now used on a very regular basis, which provides a unique identity number to all Indian citizens. As a woman, I strongly feel that the launch of Nirbhaya app, which was initiated by the government is one of the best initiatives that the government made in these recent times to ensure the safety of every woman. As we all know, and would have, as we all would have spent at least some time looking for Netflix recommendations using Alexa, Siri, Google Home, and have been left stunned by the innovation of self-driving cars came into effect. All of these have been possible due to the endless development in the field of artificial intelligence. As shown on the slide, the picture depicts one of the real life examples, which was in North Carolina, Charlotte in North Carolina, which uses advanced technology such as end to end video analytics, traffic management using AI, and traffic management using AI, and smart waste disposal system to run the smart system efficiently. It's a human tendency that no one is satisfied with what they have. People always want more, a better version of everything is required. And there works in the fifth generation of network. And there comes in the fifth generation of network. In India, companies like Bharti Airtel, Indus Towers, and Tech Mahindra have been working with the government to build up the nation with the fastest technology till date. It will almost impact everything that the government is working for, from the safety measures, census analysis, registration processes, tax payments, etc., which will therefore help in making the city smarter. Having public opinions and analyzing it is very important. Hence, for clear understanding of the audience perspective, we conducted a survey amongst the working youth of our country. The second bar graph clearly shows how well the government is working on building up these smart cities. The question was based on the scale of 1 to 5, and the majority, that is 56.7% of the people, believe that the government is just moderately working on the development of smart cities in our country. Similarly, 45% of the people think that automation will increase the economy of the country in a positive way. Education, which is a very important sector for the working youth as well as the future youth of the nation, we believe that the shift to smart cities will also impact the shift to smart education in our nation. In spite of all these surveys having a positive impact about e-governance and smart cities, one of the major challenges is the digital literacy rate in our country, which is just about a mere 38%. That is 61% in the urban areas and 25% in the rural areas. Because of the pandemic, a lot of senior citizens also learned how to use the technology from their children and household people. As we want every city to become smart, we also want every street of our country to be smart. And one such application of artificial intelligence in smart cities is automatic street light. We are proposing that by using the motion sensors like PIR, we can develop smart cities in our nation. Automation in food industry has also been developed in India, and cities like Delhi have been regularly using automation in food industry. The pros and cons, that is the challenges that the government will face during its execution, is one of the many perspectives that the official body will have to take care when they make the policies for e-governance and smart cities. E-governance and smart cities is unquestionably the next stop to making the country technologically advanced, corruption-free, more efficient, and better interactions with the citizens. Thank you.
Any questions, sir?
I'm sorry, too many activities going on. Okay, I'll sum it up. So, thanks for the presentation. See, it was more of e-governance driven analysis of smart cities, as I have felt about your quick research that you did. Now, smart cities as a concept was a concept which came even midst of the National E-Governance Plan 1 and 2. So we were in a flux when we were doing the mission mode projects, looking at the PDS, the ration part of it, the farmers, the school education, and suddenly smart cities came. So everybody thought that it was a large scale automation that we wanted to attempt, and suddenly the technology enablers jumped in. They saw business opportunity, and if you look at the smart cities implementation today, probably we haven't achieved about 10 to 20% of even what the intent and the vision of the honorable prime minister was. Because to my best perception, smart cities would comprise of effective waste management systems. It would comprise of robust water treatment plants. It would comprise of effective delivery service from a municipality for citizen standpoint of view. It would comprise of a very micro level surveillance system for the civic societies, which results in reducing the women against crime, and then probably look at taking the G2C services to the doorstep of the citizens. So I would go beyond the e-documents, the automation, the printout, the PDFs that I can pull up from the portal. Those are not very important for me. So smart cities have to be reinvented. People have to see what kind of implementation has already gone in. So thanks for ringing the bell. I hope the message reaches somebody rather than only restricting your paper. I would say come over to TNEGA sometimes. I'll make you draft a good document which you can send to PM. Although we don't know whether somebody's going to read it or not, but let's do our duty. If you're serious about pursuing this intent, then it needs a lot of information, it needs a lot of retrospecting, and it needs a lot of evaluation where the smart cities are currently today to what they were actually envisaged. So good attempt. Raising problems is our duty, and so you have done that. But you guys are at the peak of your energy with the Almighty and the age on your side. So please pursue such subjects and take it forward. Good done. Well done.
Yes, sir, sure. Thank you for this information. Thank you so much.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes. Before you begin, I have a question for you. Why did you choose this topic, role of youth in e-governance? Do you think youth is deprived of coming forward and participating in e-governance today?
Sorry, sir. My topic is of role of e-governance in Tamil Nadu in business sectors.
Oh, so you're not. Business sectors. I'm sorry. So this is the next topic. I'm sorry. I was going sequentially. Carry on, ma'am. Sorry. Carry on.
Okay, sir. A very good afternoon to all and all present here. I am Sona, research scholar from Madras Christian College. I am here to present an interesting topic, that is the role of e-governance services in Tamil Nadu in business sectors. Reason to select this topic is there is a very limited study presented in the business sectors. Let's move on to the introduction. Developing country like India needs an upgrading and alignment in various sectors for the development of the country. There are some of the important e-government services used in businesses are e-registration for FSSAI, food license, goods and service tax, income tax, and other business-related taxes and services. Recently, in the Union Budget 2022 to 23, India's Finance Minister announced certain budgets and also laying of optical fiber in villages to be completed by 2025 to improve e-governance in rural India. As e-governance focus on the betterment of society in business sectors also leads to some effective policies for the development of business doing people in rural India. This study helps to identify if the e-governance services provided by the government are truly beneficial to the rural entrepreneur of Tamil Nadu in their businesses. Here I wish to throw some light on the rural e-governance business related services in Tamil Nadu. Here I have listed three major objectives of my study. The first one is the effectiveness of e-governance in businesses in rural areas of Tamil Nadu.
And how it second one is how it helps rural entrepreneurs in the developing their businesses. And finally, I would like to suggest some ideas to improve the e-governance services usage in business services. Next, coming to the methodologies, I have used both primary and secondary data for the study. The primary data was collected from the rural entrepreneurs of Tamil Nadu for the districts like Madurai, Erode, Trichy, and so on. And also, I have used Google Forms for the better understanding to collect the data. Next slide. Aim of the government to adopt the e-governance and also to provide transparent and citizen-friendly services to the people. The various government has implemented various e-governance services like e-Seva in Andhra Pradesh, Friends in Kerala, and Gyan Good in Madhya Pradesh. I have listed some of the characteristics of e-governance businesses. Some of them are ICT eliminate the mistakes from manual procedures. And e-governance major services the transparency, anti-corruption, accountability, and also the network and community creation. Next. In this, I have listed some of the e-services that can be used by the business people in Tamil Nadu. When working with the government, this will help in promoting a more transparent corporate environment. Few services that the G2B, that is the government to business initiative, help with licensing, procurement, permits, and tax collection. Some of the and also common service centers are placed in every district for the help of the people in rural area. That is as the one-stop shop for a host of government services for citizens with the help of ICT in rural area. This also acts as the entrepreneurial development factor in rural areas among various youngsters in rural, and anyone of the can register for this and provide services with minimum amount for the service provided by them. This is also popularly called as e-Seva Mayam in Tamil Nadu. And coming to the rural, how rural developed help through e-governance. Ministry of Rural Development India has taken various initiatives to implement and design various ICT-enabled applications to provide easy access to the technology, also develop infrastructure in rural areas of India. CRISP, that is Computerized Rural Information System Project. It aims to facilitate the District Rural Development Agency, that is DRDA, is in the monitoring of exercise of poverty alleviation programs through a computer-based information system. Till date, there have 4 versions of CRISP application software packages has been developed. Next slide. No. Here I have listed some common advantages and disadvantages that faced by rural entrepreneurs in business. It really helps improve technology and enhance delivery and of government services. It is easy, fast, and user-friendly access to the people, and it also benefits not only it's all it is beneficial to the rural area people also. E-government enhances the trust level between the government and citizens. Some of the disadvantages are illiteracy in the people, rural area, mainly in the rural area, and digital divide, and technological issues and network issues from their side. And move on to the inferences. I have presented some of the major questions as to the rural entrepreneurs in Tamil Nadu. The first question is, did you aware of the e-governance services provided? Most of the 71% of two are aware of e-governance services provided by the government. And the main aim of the research is to how they are doing their registration process. I have asked
like Panchayati office, municipality office, and the website. But 44% of the respondents done their registration and license through village Panchayat level. Next. I have attached FSSAI license and renewal receipt of the weight machine of the one of the respondents here. Next. Coming to the suggestions, I have not more suggestions like educating and preparing the population through camps and digital technology related training, and setting up more CSC common service centers is another major addition government can bring for the benefit of villages. And business process re-engineer for this strategy, processes, technology, organization, and culture. The five components of the business need to be changed. Explain. Once, our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, said that the future of India lies in the villages, followed by his sayings, our government equally promotes rural area of India for the betterment of national nation building with lots of new policies and programs. To achieve the growth and development of the ICT in rural area, lots of programs are implemented and sustained, but the development of business and rural areas are very limited. The finding and inferences mentioned in this study are the expectations and suggestions set by the rural entrepreneur. So, in a nutshell, it can be concluded that increasing digital literacy and introducing new projects for the development of entrepreneurs, especially in rural India, with the help of technical advancements, are leading and will lead to rural development in India. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That was a very good analysis of how the e-governance services in Tamil Nadu currently are. Very happy to hear all that. Now, I would give you my insight of e-governance. Probably I've seen a little more e-governance than you. Now, what happens is that very few people to begin with are unable to differentiate between e-government and e-governance. So when we started the National E-Governance Plan, the first 5 years was actually creating the automation ecosystem within the government infrastructure. One of the key things that did not happen, that did not happen and was not attempted, was to look at simplified governance. So possibly people wanted to migrate the as-is process with the help of technology enablers into the automated world. It had a lot of application workflow constraints. Somewhere there were data constraints. Somewhere they were not simple to understand. And we're still living with it. So e-governance today has a huge business opportunity for consulting firms, for young people like you to come forward and help the departments will to retrospect their process. You can call it process simplification, you can call it business process re-engineering, because to reach masses, we need to make the services simple to understand with minimum inputs from the beneficiary and to give him the quality output. So business process re-engineering is one way. Secondly, your topic actually was very interesting when I started reading the abstract last evening, because we've been talking about G2C, G2C, G2C too much. Nobody is looking at the G2B and G2G services, right? These two areas actually create ease of doing business for the entrepreneurs. So more comfortable we make from the applicant standpoint, from approval standpoint, single window clearances, and the turnaround time. Look at restructuring at our prime minister loans and the mudra loans, and creating small entrepreneurs at a rural level. So the point that you made, we need to open more CSCs. Actually, it is an employable opportunity for village level entrepreneurs. I don't need BTech computer science in a village. Anybody who's 12th graduate can go to us through a skill development program, can be facilitated through a small loan, can set up a CSC infrastructure, and can help me taking the services to the doorstep of the actual beneficiary who needs it. I don't get excited by people sitting in Chennai going to a portal, using a payment gateway and downloading a PDF. That doesn't give me any thrill. If I can go to an 85-year-old person in a village and tell him that, friend, you are 85, you are eligible for these benefits, and this is how you can acquire those, will be the real derivative of technology. So as I said, it's not denigrating the effort of the departments, not being a roadblock for the business intent of the corporate. The corporate and the departments, if they come together, it's a win-win situation for them. They can sell more technology enablers. There's a huge opportunity on business process consulting. There is a huge employable manpower that we can create through our e-governance initiatives at a grassroots level. So possibly if that can collectively happen, we need more reinforcing kind of advisory council, competency teams at a national level, at a state level, to drive all this. But we are at an e-governance life cycle stage where we need to stop and see around us what we have and where exactly we have to reach. Because if we don't define an intent for ourselves, we'll keep on growing in terms of technology enablement over a period of time, which will not benefit the large audience. The masses will not get the result of it. So business sectors getting the benefits of e-governance is very, very necessary, because the entrepreneurs need to have an ecosystem which helps them doing business much more less complex way, compared to too many approvals, too many building permissions, too many NOCs. They have to get out of that. So simplified governance is the ask. I've been repeating this word quite a bit, but that is how you reach the grassroots level. So interesting topic, ma'am. Good attempt. Well done.
Thank you, sir. I agree with your words. This is also developing lots of employment opportunities to the youngsters in the rural area. Thank you for the insight, sir.
Good.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm here to present my study on 7 years of participatory governance, analysis of my government. So, about my government is basically a my government is basically a citizen-centered platform which collaborates with various governments and ministries, engaging citizens to involve in policy formulation. So the portal has 80 groups of various government departments and ministries. There are three modes of participation in the My Government, that is basically do, discuss, and disseminate. So in the do mode of participation, it is actually it consists of online and on ground tasks like various competitions like logo competition, youth parliamentarian, and filmmaking are conducted in the do section. So even the slogan competition was conducted by Swachh Bharat campaign. Out of 2,800 entries were given to the, 2,800 entries were registered on the portal, out of which 3 winners were declared in the portal. So next is the discuss mode of participation. So discuss mode is basically a group-centric online discussion. So people generally post their opinions on the portal, out of which a valuable suggestions are taken into consideration. So even Ministry of Railways adopted 3 suggestions from the discuss mode, like destination arrival alert through SMS and railway inquiry service available in local languages, and train arrival and departure alert through SMS. So these 3 suggestions are incorporated by Ministry of Railways in the Ministry of Railways from the My Government portal. So the third type of participation is basically the disseminate. So disseminate consists of three categories. First one being the talks and newsletters and blogs. So talk is that it allows citizens to engage with government employees through live chat. So it is basically an opportunity given to citizens to to connect with government employees to get the aim of transparency. So involving the process. So it is basically a shift from process centricity to citizen centricity. So this government of India formulated this framework of citizen engagement in e-governance, which laid emphasis on this citizen centricity. So, which led to the creation of a dedicated portal for citizen engagement, which is the My Government. Next slide. So methodology I've used here is scripted documentary analysis, and I've collected my sources from my government portal, journals, and articles. The main research questions in this paper are based on the present nature of my government portal, and can a model like this be applicable to both urban and rural settings, and will my government enable the reach of national projects like Swachh Bharat, National Education Policy, and Digital India campaign to reach people through its platform. Next slide. So, about the significance of my government, I consider as a fundamental shift in the approach of people because that is from giving information to engaging people in the policy process. So, citizens can express their views and policies, programs, and matters of national interest, and their viewpoints of citizens are implemented in the policies. So, logos and taglines of key national projects like Swachh Bharat, M.O.P, and National and Digital India have been crowdsourced through my government. So, the winner of logo competition of Digital India campaign, he was awarded with the prize money of 1 lakh, and he was also given the government certificate. So my government has been actively soliciting ideas from citizens for initiatives like Man Ki Baat. So my government invited suggestions for what PM should speak on its upcoming episodes. And there is annual budget. So Ministry of Finance invited suggestions for Union Budget 2022 to 2023 on the My Government portal, and it gathered around 3,000 suggestions, which was sent to the center, and those suggestions were popular demands on tax act and fuel issues. So my government also engages citizens in campaigns like Clean Ganga and Girl Child Education to name a few. Next slide. So, what are the limitations I found in this My Government portal is that there is this language limitation. So, basically, My Government portal is available only in Hindi and English. So, there's very level of responsiveness from authorities that people have been actively sharing their ideas in the portal, but there is no response from the authorities after receiving the suggestions. So, we don't know whether they have incorporated our suggestions into in the policies or not. So, which leaves us with the incomplete feedback process and this lack of communication between the authorities. Like every ministry has their own dedicated online portal, so which defeats the purpose of the My Government. So, and there's also the presence of outdated content. So, if we log into My Government portal, there's a discussion which was discussed 2 3 years back are still present in the portal, which has to be removed, and dependence on third party for cybersecurity. So currently my government is dependent upon National Informatics Center for its cybersecurity, and cybersecurity which comes under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. I believe that I want that what I'm proposing is that
Next session.
okay. And also there is a limited reach of platform in the Indian population. Next. So I'm proposing two models of sustainability. One to explain how the framework of my government, another model how to overcome those limitations. So, discussing on discussion on bridging the gap in the health sector, which was posted by Meity. A person named Suchitra, she's from Chennai. She suggested that Aadhaar card should be tagged along with digital health smart card, so that it will help migrating people and poor people uh, the less paperwork, and they can easily claim their medical insurance. So this was very helpful when Chennai flood happened and many people lost their papers and documentation. Aadhaar card details actually saved them. So this initiative has was approved by Niti Aayog, and it was also incorporated in the National Health Policy of 2015. So and this is basically the David Easton theoretical framework. So here the input is the tagging of Aadhaar card with a digital health smart card, and which is used to bridge the gap between the gap in the health sector posted by the Niti Aayog. So the output is the initiative of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. This initiative was finally incorporated in was scrutinized by the government, and it was incorporated in the National Health Policy of 2017. So the feedback regarding the performance of the policies is again fed back into the input. So it is basically a dynamic process. Next. So a professor named Islam, he proposed a 7P model or e-participation sustainable model, which is basically a bottom-up approach. I adopted this approach so to overcome the limitations that is present in the My Government portal. So first being the policy and capacity building. So it is fundamental for any initiative to be sustainable for a long time. So My Government agenda should focus on how much, what, when, where, why, and whom. So my government agenda should basically answer all these questions. And second being the plan and goal setting. So the goal of my government should be set in such a way it answers all the, it resolves all the issues of the people. So third phase being the program and content development. So content should be developed. Uh, Content development should be relevant to the current scenario, and my government should discuss matters of national importance. And fourth phase being the process and tools. So my government is also available in dedicated mobile application, and it's active on social media like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, but what is lacking is that the awareness among the people. So social technological barriers should be kept in mind while designing this process. So I suggest that government should provide free internet connection to students in rural areas so that they could access any e-government initiative in the country. So participation. So I believe that good governance is achieved only when there is effective participation in the e-governance. So there should always be a two-way exchange of ideas between the officials and the citizens. So my government also motivates people to take part in the citizen. In the platform by giving them government certificates, by engaging them in competitions, etc. And the final piece being the post-implementation analysis. So my government will be sustained if there is an effective feedback mechanisms, impact analysis, and subsequent incorporation of results, so that it will upgrade the service of the my government. Next slide. Just a recommendation. So these are basically my recommendations regarding the My Government portal. So I think awareness should be created among the people. Even people in the society, in the urban areas possessing smartphones are not aware of such an initiative. Its awareness in the rural areas is actually debatable. So I also suggest that an act which makes my government a compulsory platform for citizen engagement might improve the condition, and my government should also have its own contingency plan to tackle cybercrime instead of before reaching to national informatics center. And next slide. So and my government is actually restricting itself from discussing controversial topics. So when abrogation of Article 370 happened in 2019, this matter of national importance was not widely discussed on the My Government portal. So My Government should also discuss matters of national importance to people, and it should be made available in local languages of the state. So currently, only 15 states in India have adopted this My Government portal. I, all the states should come forward and adopt this my government citizen engagement platform. So it's also very important that my government employs moderators to communicate between different ministries and people, so that feedback is given as soon as possible, thereby enhancing the my government and also enhancing the basic principles of responsiveness, accessibility, and efficiency. So I believe that my government is one of the most innovative projects Digital India scheme. In other words, it's a tool that empowers government to administer the governance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, good analysis of a very important source of information that we have. And see, when you look at any process, you have three important. Can you hear me? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm saying good attempt, good analysis of a very important source that we have at a pan-India level. What I was trying to say is when you look at any process, any objective, any intent, it has three important ingredients. It has a source, it has a means to fulfillment, and it has an end objective. So this is a very important source, and e-governance is a very important offshoot of this based on the ideas given by people. But I will come back to what I've been repeating in all the papers. Uh, uh, we are still not reaching the masses. We are not reaching the real beneficiaries who require the e-governance impact to change their social lives. We talk about social and technological inclusion, but our target audience is restricted. So every time we get into a proof of concept, then we do a pilot, then we do an implementation. It's only that same audience, gets repeated every time. So we are now at a very matured stage where we have to close the loop of e-governance. So we already have a source like MyGov, where people have given suggestions, technology enablement, technology initiatives, journal initiatives like Swachh Bharat, Clean Ganga have come out of it. We need to have a feedback mechanism on the service delivery, the quality of citizen life, how can that be improved at a very grassroots level. So there can be a pan-India portal capturing feedback for all programs. There could be a rural footprint at a Gram Panchayat level, which gives the opportunity of my rural community to come and raise their voice in terms of what they actually need, what is missing in their lives in terms of benefits, in terms of attributes that could improve their living, or it could be anything. It's not something that IT can deliver. It could be a simple program that can impact their life. So probably that should happen. The advisory and competency councils comprising of the direct benefit transfer schemes, the social justice department, people who have spent their lives in the government framework for 30, 35, 40 years, retired at a different level, and ruled the departments like the distribution system, the electricity department, the social justice department, and there could be a long list. Their experience has to come in. So it is not just a standalone client feedback or a user feedback that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a community-based feedback. Feedback coming from the SMEs, feedback coming from the rural community to Gram Panchayat, and we can start small. So I was talking to one of the presenters of restructuring the Gram Panchayat. So still till the time technology takes its own shape and we have a portal where we can capture those feedbacks and make it reach to the decision makers, we can start a dialogue. We can start a dialogue. A Gram Panchayat, they have these panchayats going on in every village or cluster of village on a periodic basis, headed by the village, sometimes the Gram Panchayat head. Those feedbacks also can be consolidated and made to reach the policymakers, because MyGov is a source where policymakers need to know what should I do to benefit you change your life, to give you the right kind of benefit, to give you the quality benefit. If there is a benefit already being delivered and lacks the deliverable intent, then how do I improve on that? So the source has to be made more powerful. Means and ends, I'm not very concerned, because we are at the helm of the technology at this point of time where we can revamp any system. We have that capability of doing it. But for me, source and the end objective is something that needs to be retrospected very exhaustively and a very high level, very high level. So this becomes another area where people need to do a little revisit rather than only looking at consolidation of information and probably reading it or probably ignoring it or probably making some partial policies, because the target audience is, see, e-governance, if I can take the liberty of saying, we have more than 60% people still deprived of the real benefits that e-governance is delivering in metros. So there's a huge population out there who needs help. They need objective help. They need business help. They need technology help, and eventually a deliverable that can bring a smile on their face. And it could be somebody getting a basic loan and becoming an entrepreneur, or a person who suddenly discovers that he's eligible for a 500 rupee government benefit through a DBT, which is not encashed for last 20 years. So every deliverable has a value in the life of the person depending on his social status and standard of living. So this really is a good topic, ma'am. Well done.
That's all for the second session for the day today.
Thank you, ma'am.
So anything, do you want to make a summary or comment on any of the papers?
Ma'am, I think I've given views. If you can allow me another 5 minutes, then probably I'll do a generic speech for the benefit of the presenters, because good part is that young people are identifying those problems areas very early in their lives, which we took a little time to understand. So if I can use a little of my experience and give them a little enlightenment on the way forward, probably these people can tomorrow, who knows, change the world.
Correct. And sir, out of all the presenters, if you can tell me the best presenter during this session, the second session.
You will allow me some time to think about that?
Yes. 5 minutes? Yes, sir.
5 minutes you want me to decide?
Sir, you take your time, sir. We have the third session also, which will start.
Okay.
So if you can tell me what time. Yeah.
So should I tell you?
When you make the general summary, also let me know who was the.
No, I'll make the general summary, ma'am. What I'm asking you is,
Yeah.
do we fill the evaluation sheet and then decide, or you want my assessment right away?
No problem. Take your time, sir. You can finish that actually. Then we'll have a good discussion. Yes.
Can I have all the presenters here?
You want all the presenters? Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
I make them come and sit in the front row, sir.
Please do. I'll only take about 5-7 minutes. That's it.
All right, sir. So I request, people who were there in the second section, sir wants them to sit in the front row.
Smriti, Ramya, a laptop parlor. Few of them can sit in the row behind.
Go behind there. So can you see them, all of them?
Be careful. No problem.
So once again, once again, good afternoon, all young ladies. Good attempt, good research. What I'm happy about in the whole session is that you guys have understood where the problem areas are. And probably at your age, I did not even know there is a problem, which I've understood very late in life. Now you need to go back. You need to go back and look at the technology ecosystem as a whole. First, retrospect your respective subjects. Try visiting your paper again. Just objectively define what is the kind of audience that you are trying to benefit, and how you're going to benefit, and what are what are the key areas that you would need refining to make sure that the benefit reach the right community. Try to understand how e-government is different from e-governance. Try to read about prominence of data. See, we have so much of software written in this world that we don't need any more software to be written. So today, if I have to write an application, I will reuse some of my code, do some technology migration. The sample codes are already available on Google, so my effort goes down. I need to sweat it out in terms of defining and making my business functions much more reinforced. If my audience is decided, my business functions are decided, then all designs, all coding, all testing, all integrations, and all deployments will fall in place. But if I go wrong as far as my business intent is concerned, then there is a problem. One of the interesting papers that I liked, although the analysis was not very comprehensive, was looking at the business sector, because we all talk about the G2C services. We never talk about the G2B and G2G services. So we need to make the life of that community who's out there as an entrepreneur in terms of ease of doing business, because they are one of the enablers who will help us reach benefits to the end users. We have to look at opportunities that we can create to convert the high school pass outs, the non-graduates into small entrepreneurs as a media for our benefits to reach at grassroots level. We need to go beyond the policy documents and the law documents and look at what kind of communities we have available in terms of subject matter experts, in terms of advisory councils, in terms of people who designed things like direct benefit transfers, and try to mandate those people coming together along with the technology enabler from the corporate sector and creating an ecosystem where the user is benefited, the policymaker makes his mark, and the technology enablers are also getting their business intent fulfilled. So I think in your respective papers, I have only done those fill in the blanks. Probably that gives you a little way forward kind of riders as to how you can build your papers. Good part about each of your papers is that you've got the baseline correct, you've got the problem statement correct, and now you have to make it scalable. So don't restrict yourself to just a competition of paper presentation and winning an award. Be serious about it. You could probably graduate to a very prominent NGO enabling business function for technology world tomorrow, and people could give you recognition at a global level. I've seen people doing that. People are doing that in small pockets. They have their own constraints. So somebody's struggling for funds, somebody doesn't have the right knowledge base, somebody is handicapped with the technology arm not being present. So those NGOs are also empowering themselves slowly and gradually. So look at this e-governance, because for your lifetime, our life is almost over. We don't know how much we're going to live, because you guys have got a long career and long life in front of you. And through e-governance mechanism, the framework, you can do your little effort and affect the life of people who really need, I'll again repeat this statement, who really need this benefit. So all the best to you, and do better in life in terms of your presentation. Thank you.